Showbiz Tonight. Also, they are couples in love, so how come they don't make love? Tonight, a revealing look at asexuality, why more and more people have no desire to have sex.
It's not that I find sex distasteful, I would just find it boring.
Can this type of relationship really work? Showbiz Tonight investigates live.
Michelle, I'm AJ Hammer. There are certain things in life that you can live without. Ask people if sex is one of them, they will probably tell you they'd rather go without food or water. Well, that is not the case for some who see sex all around them in the world, but they choose to ignore it.
This is David J. He's 23 years old and has never had sex. What's more, he says he never even wants to have sex, ever.
Personally, it's not that I dislike sexuality. It's not that it grosses me out. It's that I don't feel a desire to engage in sexual activity the way that most sexual people do.
David is asexual. He's part of a growing group of people who say they're not attracted to men or women.
Asexuality is really not having a desire or a need or a wish to be sexual with yourself or anyone else. It's where you have no sexual feelings or thoughts or desires, that piece of your life is not in play.
David is not alone. He's the founder of an online community for other asexual people called Asexuality.org. People who come together to share a similar bond.
The difference between asexuality and celibacy is that celibacy is a choice. Asexuality means that you don't experience sexual attraction. Celibacy means that you experience a desire for sex and choose not to engage in it.
David says he realized he was different when he was about 14 years old in middle school.
All of my friends suddenly started talking about wanting to kiss people, wanting to date people, wanting kind of to explore their sexuality with people. And I had no internal context to understand what that meant. I didn't know what the difference between liking someone and liking someone was in middle school. I didn't know if it was a problem that I didn't like sex. I didn't know if it meant that I would never be able to love anyone. And so it took me a long time to really come to terms and to realize that it's okay, that nothing bad happens to you if you don't like sex.
There are many reasons why a person may not be interested in sex, ranging from low testosterone to early childhood trauma.
I think we have to be really careful about this whole concept of asexuality, because certainly there's nothing wrong. Nobody, if someone is asexual, they're asexual. But that's not to be confused with someone who has issues with intimacy or issues with getting into a relationship.
The challenge for doctors is that there is virtually no research on the subject of asexuality, making it difficult for them to figure out what might cause it. That has a lot of people looking to the internet.
My fear is that a large proportion of the people who are going on these websites and now identifying as asexuals are just looking for an answer, when the answer may lie in therapy.
Still, if someone is happy not having sex, who are we to judge?
The bottom line to understand is that sex and love are different things. So sex is one way to show that you love someone. It's one way to have fun with someone. It's one great thing you can do in a relationship, but it's not the only thing you can do.
That was David J. He's the founder of Asexuality.org, and he joins us live from San Francisco. And joining me live here in New York, an asexual couple, a woman we are calling Jill and her boyfriend Paul, who have been dating since January. Welcome to Showbiz Tonight. I appreciate you all being with us.
Thank you for having us.
I know it comes as no surprise to you that people watch that piece, a lot of people, and they're just scratching their heads because they don't get it. And I'm sure you find yourself explaining it a lot. So how do you convince people, the two of you, how do you convince people that this is for real?
Well, yeah, we're pretty used to doing that, I think. And it's a bit easier, when we're actually in a relationship because, it's hard to say that it's fear of intimacy, fear of relationships.
Let me make sure I understand. Hang on one second, David. I'll get to you in 1 second. I just have to ask you this, just so I'm clear here. You guys don't think about sex?
No.
No. You don't have sex?
No.
And you don't want to have sex?
No.
Not really.
Okay, David, let me get out to you. Go ahead. Go ahead, David.
Okay, I'm aware that sex is out there. It's something that I think about and that I'm aware of it in the world, but I don't feel the desire for sexual activity. I don't feel the desire to make it a part of my life, a part of my relationships.
Okay, and you've expanded your personal asexuality into a business, a website, asexuality.org. What's the real purpose of your website? Is it basically for information? Is it a dating service?
It's for information and it's to build a community. No one was talking about asexuality. No one was talking about the fact that it's okay to not like sex. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And so the asexual community on asexuality.org has really been the first place where asexual people have come together to talk about our experience.
Okay, I need you guys to help put it in perspective in some real-world terms for me. Let's say the two of you are at a movie theater watching a movie and a sex scene comes on, or you're home watching TV, same thing, a sex scene comes on. Do you see that happening and kind of say, I don't get it, kind of like people might be doing about this situation?
I don't know if it's so much a curiosity. It's just, you know, it's part of life. You know, there's a lot of things in the world that don't affect people, and sex is just something that doesn't affect us.
Not whatsoever.
No.
Not really. I mean, we might laugh at the scene, or we might react in some way, but it's no different from, say, watching a battle scene in a war movie. You know, it's
they always have cheesy dialogue.
Different than a battle scene. Oh, okay, I can accept that. David, I have to ask you, your website, and I know you get a lot of visitors on it. More men or more women?
It's about even, maybe a few more women than men, but we don't really have good statistical data. It seems like it's about even gender-wise, though.
I'm curious about one thing, because we did pop on the site today to sort of get a sense of it, and one thing that we notice is that there are a number of women who visit the site. They are wives who are no longer interested in having sex with their husbands. So are they just there seeking support? Do they even qualify as asexual?
And we also have husbands who aren't interested in having sex with their wives. It goes both ways. But there are a number of people on the site who are asexual people in relationships with sexual people, and also vice versa, which is tricky. Sex is very central to how we used to thinking about intimacy and thinking about relationships. But if you think about it, sexual people have relationships that are close, that are intimate, that don't involve sex all the time. We're just used to putting limitations on where those relationships can go and what they can do. And for me, as an asexual person, part of what's exciting is getting to take those limitations off, getting to sort of explore all the places you can go in relationships without necessarily having them focus around sex.
And to be clear, you may be affectionate in relationships that you're in. I know we spoke to you guys before, and the two of you are actually affectionate with one another. I imagine you kiss, but there's nothing sexual about it. There's no sexual impulse or, what's the good way to say this, any kind of sexual reaction from any affection you share with one another?
No.
Not at all.
No, I guess you could say there's something innocent about it, but, you know, I mean, that word's got kind of a purist connotation to it. It's just, you know, we're affectionate, we love each other, it's simple.
David, when you heard the sex therapist that was featured in our piece there talking about the fact that she feels that it shouldn't be confused with people who may have fear of intimacy issues, what do you say to that? Because a lot of people may say, no, these people really just need to go and talk to a doctor.
Well, I completely agree that it shouldn't be confused with people who have a fear of intimacy. But I also think that the asexual community is an awful place to go if you want to avoid talking about intimacy. When people come to the asexual community, they don't just stop thinking about themselves. It's realizing that you're asexual is a huge, complicated process. There's a lot of stuff to figure out, like how you're going to be intimate with people, how, you know, we don't desire sex, but there's a lot of things we do desire. We have all the same emotional needs as everyone else. So how are you going to go about building a life without sexual activity that has all the things that you want in it? And I think because the asexual community is a place where that kind of discussion's going on, people who come to the asexual community who are looking to avoid things by not having sex can't do that.
That's a different thing. Okay, so you guys, to be clear, Jill and Paul, this is not about abstinence. It's just of no interest to you whatsoever.
No. That's really exactly right.
Okay, it's exactly, very intriguing, and I appreciate you guys sharing something very personal with us tonight. And I think a lot of people may still be scratching their heads, but you know, to each their own, and respect to all.
Well, I encourage them to get on the website and check it out.
All right,
asexuality.org.
Asexuality.org. David J in California, Paul and Jill here in New York. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.